Hello everyone, here I am moving through the screen to put myself on the right corner, and here we are with the third video, the last one, which is about the endocannabinoid system. So we actually want to address as the table of contents the endocannabinoid system as a neurotransmitters network, also the endocannabinoid molecules, the receptors, the exocannabinoids that come from the plant. We're going to give a little bit of a general suggestions on how we use CBD and THC, and we can actually use genomics to predict the probability of good response versus complications from cannabis used as medicine. So here, as you can see, this is the two endings of the nerve, of the neuronal or the synapses of the endocannabinoid system. So we have here the presynaptic, which is the neuron that sends the message. Then you have the postsynaptic, which is the neuron that receives the message. In this space, we have the cannabinoids and the neurotransmitters, which are together there. And we have some fat precursors, because many of these cannabinoids are actually omega-6 fats. And then we have here the receptors. And here we have the tetrahydrocannabinol that actually has a retrograde action. So that is totally different from the typical neuronal synapse, where things go from the presynapses to postsynapses, but here things go actually in retrograde as well. So that is a little bit more advanced, but I just wanted to give you a general idea of what are the general components of this system. So we have two endocannabinoids, and we have one is actually Anandamide, which is actually taken from the word in Sanskrit Ananda, which means joy or bliss or delight, and amide is the chemical group. And the other endocannabinoids that we produce those when we do yoga, when we exercise, when we do breath work, and when we get into a parasympathetic state, then we actually are increasing our own endocannabinoids. So here we see the difference or the actual resemblance of what we produce, the brain chemical anandamide and THC. So they are kind of similar, but not exactly the same. And THC can bind the endocannabinoid receptors, which are, the same that these endocannabinoids are also sensitive to. So the exocannabinoids, which come from the plant, we have the primary psychoactive or psychomodulator, I like to call it, is the THC that binds the CB1 and CB2 cannabinoid receptors. We have the CBD, which is the cannabidiol receptors, which is, CBD is the primary homeostatic regulator. And what I like to really explain to my clients is that what we mean by homeostasis is that something is hyperactive, is going to calm it down, and if something is going too slow, it's going to stimulate it. So these compounds establish a conversation or a dialogue that is very peculiar for each person, because I have seen the same product do different things in different children and what it did, it was just that it balanced what needed to be balanced so that the body can do its thing. So the CBD doesn't bind our CB1 and CB2 receptors. So very much a believer, and also I have seen several testimonials of clients that, even when I was practicing in the clinic, that we were able to reverse mood and sleep and pain all at the same time by using CBD, making some food changes, as well as the rest of the lifestyle. So we cannot really say that cannabis is like a miracle cure, and it just, it helps for many, many things, as we know, but it's not the only thing. And, we can take a look at these particularities. So these are the other different types of exocannabinoids that are taken from the plants: the CBG, the CBC, the CBN. All right. So they all have their different characteristics or features that they help with, and they also have to be harvested at certain points of the year and only for certain type of plants, and they have very specific characteristics that makes it that they are not as available and prevalent as THC and CBD. So I didn't know that I had a little animation there. Sorry. Oh, wow. Okay, so the endocannabinoid receptors. And so basically we have CB1 and CB2, which are concentrated on the brain, but also present in some nerves and some organs, and the peripheral organs associated with the immune system. Then we have the TRBP1, TRBP2. These ones, the TRBP1s, are concentrated in the blood, in the bone marrow, on the tongue, and the kidneys, liver, stomach, ovaries. So I have seen people having children on CBD. There's also receptors on the skin, and I have seen rashes go away, muscle, kidney, stomach, lungs, and I have seen also pianist ladies with hand pain due to arthritis that have experienced relief by using it topically. So GPR 18, 55, 119, as you can see, we have all over our bodies, we have all of these endocannabinoid receptors. And what is important to say is that they are absent in the brainstem, and that is where we control our blood pressure and our respiration. So that is the reason why cannabis does not cause primary cardiorespiratory arrest or death. So from the point of view of CBD, so CBD regulates circadian rhythm, supports endorphins. It will support your mood when taken at progressively increased doses over a period of 4 to 6 weeks. CBD will decrease chronic pain at the same time, and it will suppress the anxiety. So if you watch the second video when I talk about the bucket of stress hormones that is overflowing and the bucket of endorphins that is empty, what we are doing is that we are filling up that bucket with CBD at progressively increasing dosing according to what people need and what they can tolerate, and how their detoxification system works. because I have seen people that with zero point 0.2 of CBD have felt high all day. And that to me doesn't do anything at all from that point of view. So it depends on how, if you are a new user versus not, and also how specifically deficient you are. So that's going to determine how much you will need, etc. So it's a very experimental experience, because we are addressing customized treatment. So each person is biochemically unique. And what you have been doing, what is the juice that's going on in your life, all of those things matter when it comes to metabolizing your cannabinoids. So someone can be deficient in magnesium, and that would not work. Somebody could be having problems with methylation, low in vitamin D, and that would not work. Low in B12 and folate. So there's certain deficiencies that put people at risk for having reactions just because they don't have the nutrients required to process those cannabinoids. So if you replace those deficiencies or treat them, then maybe at some point down the line, these people will tolerate well and have enjoyed the benefits of cannabis therapy. So as you can see, this is a very simple curve that I use with my clients to really show that, in a period of 4 to 6 weeks, as we fill up that deficiency, progressively we find a new mood baseline, because all of these things improve. So if you actually can sleep, that's awesome. You are happier, and that means that you have enough serotonin to make melatonin, or at least you're taking melatonin. We're doing something about it, which is definitely improving your mood, and then your anxiety is down. And remember that it's all about that imbalance. So we get you magnesium and B vitamins, vitamin D, in order to eliminate the excess of stress, as well as some mindfulness tools and all the things that we need to do consciously in order to reduce our stress levels. So because CBD is homeostasis, like it's really the balance molecule, I like to start with that on almost everybody because of this. You basically go from this stage until this point, higher level of functioning, and then from that point, I like to assess the need for THC. So THC has more immediate psychoactive effect, which means that really within minutes you can feel normal, or you can feel inebriated, or you can feel sleepy in a matter of minutes, right? So this is what we use in order to explain to our clients the mood. What is mood? So mood is not a switch that you turn on or off. Mood is a dial with a zone in the center that I painted green, which is the goal, that is the target. That's where we want to be, on the green zone. We want to be energized. We want to have a mood that is neutral. We don't have to be super happy. And we want to be able to do our stuff. Very simple. So that's where we want to be, using cannabis as medicine to get there is what we do. So in order to decide if somebody needs the cannabis, after the CBD, some people are, no, I don't need anything else. They basically go into the green, wherever they were. Some people come from here, some people come from this zone. And those are the questions that I like to ask. So when you wake up in the morning, after 6 weeks of CBD, are you finding yourself that your energy is still low, that you are cranky in the morning, and that you don't feel like doing stuff? So low energy is low dopamine, low adrenaline, and this low drive is also low dopamine. And sadness or anger is low serotonin. So if we are here, we can take THC at small dosages every day until we actually find ourselves on the green zone. And then we have to know how wide is the green zone, because that is something else. But I'm going to talk about that afterwards. So if somebody is waking up in the morning and they are restless or anxious or angry and they still cannot get their stuff done, then that means that they have too much of the stress hormones and they are in the red. And here we are deficient. We have a deficiency in those two hormones, at least as main components of this situation. And this brings up to the same outcome. The person cannot get their stuff done. So if you wake up in the red in the morning, then a THC small dose of indica can actually bring you on the green and can actually help you execute your day and improve your performance. If somebody's on the blue, it's the same. So this goes all the way here. So that means that after, if you take more of the sativa, you're going to end up in the high area, which is red, which can be pleasant or unpleasant. And when you take too much THC indica, you end up in the sleepy zone. All right? So if someone is already on the green, they don't need THC because it's gonna send them out of the green, right? So that kind of makes sense. If you don't need cannabis, cannabis is not a performance drug. If you need cannabis, it will improve your performance. And we can check on the genomics test. And before I get there, I would say that THC is the quick fix for mood and sleep, pretty much. The indica will support falling asleep and staying asleep, and sativa will support your dopamine and may improve alertness and productivity. So this GBDBDBish of all another square, this actually are the cannabinoid receptor 1 and 2. These are mine, and these are the detoxification pathways. And this is actually the metabolism map. I'm a fast metabolizer for the cannabinoid receptor 1. I have increased activity, and also my anti-inflammatory pathways from CBD. I can make a lot of that. So I like my CBD. All right. And we can also check for the AKT1 gene, which is a gene that predisposes males and people in general to psychotic episodes when they're exposed to THC. I saw a few of those in the emergency, and it may happen very quickly. So we like to keep it simple, and it is a very artistic thing to do. It is balancing how much of the CBD are you getting, how much of the THC, and I love working with oils because we don't actually have the smoking factor at all, and also you can titrate your dosing much better. So from 0.1 to 0.2 to 0.3, you can really predict an effect much more than with any form of inhalation, which is much less accurate. Even though there are some vaporizers that can deliver a specific dose, I don't think that this is a technology that is very available. It's not really practical. So I love the oils or capsules. Once you know that you need a specific dose of the oil, then you transition onto capsules because you know exactly how much you need. If when you are starting, you swallow a capsule and you know the effect is not pleasant, then you're stuck with that until it finishes. So I like starting with oils. I believe in slow progression and micro dosing because you also prep your receptors, which means that you're not giving a big load of THC or CBD, and we can cope with the effects. And we also give you some instructions about what to do when you are trying it for the first time and what precautions to take. So there are many different ways of doing this, and we have to tap on the multiple benefits of the endocannabinoid system because it's really amazing. So as conclusions, we can say that your endocannabinoids may be the largest internal source of well-being and balance, right? Like an internal source of well-being and balance. That means that when you breathe, when you do that yoga, when you dance and you release those molecules, that is coming from inside of you. We are all, enlightened beings, and we can be absolutely happy. We have to work or, aim towards that goal. We have the endocannabinoid receptors in most of our vital organs. The exocannabinoids interact with the endocannabinoid receptors and have an effect on mood, pain, and sleep, as well as many other benefits. CBD is a very important homeostasis factor that modulates neurotransmitters activity, and it may provide mood, sleep, and pain support all in one. THC, as a direct psychomodulator, may be helpful and improve performance in those who need it and to take the dose according to their genomics data. So this is the end of the third video. Thank you very much for watching, and here is our information, and we hope to see you in our other video series. Thank you very much.